guys, welcome back to part two. Or wait, this would be, what am I doing? That's three. Part two of adding depth to a drawing or illustration or comic, whatever you are doing. I hope you enjoyed part one. And if you did not see it, if you missed it somehow, I'll have a link to that. So you can check that part one out. We basically sketched it out, we inked it, and now today I'm going to color it and we're going to have some fun. I'm going to show you a little bit of tips on how to add some depth to your illustrations and drawings to make it look like you're looking at something and it goes way, way back there. And unbeknownst to the viewer, it's just on a flat surface. Nobody would know. So anyways, I'm going to hop on my iPad Pro. Again, I'm using Procreate, the software that I typically use. And I will see you there. Hey, one quick little show note. I really apologize about the audio. The iPad Pro, the only bad thing it doesn't have is a good microphone. Doesn't pick up audio that great. I'm working on fixing that. But in the meantime, the audio is not that great. But you'll be able to hear me. It just sounds a little bit different than this normal voice. It's like a bad FM radio. Put it that way. Anyway, back to the show. I'm going to the iPad Pro. I'll see you there.
All right, guys, welcome back to the part two episode of adding depth through to a drawing. What am I trying to say here? I was going to say through a drawing. No, to a drawing. In part one, I sketched this little nature scene out. Nothing special, but a lot of trees, a lot of grass, a lot of sky. And I thought this would be good because with trees and nature, you can really kind of expand your horizons, go back far. But, you can do this with almost anything. The same process works regardless. So today, what I'm going to do is go in and we are going to color this. And I'm going to show you how to add some techniques to add depth to your coloring. So, again, I am in Procreate right now, the software, and what I'm going to do is create a new layer underneath my inked layer. If you followed along with part one, I hate to make assumptions, but I'm going to assume you know what I'm talking about when I mention layers and all that good stuff in the software. If not, just take a few moments to kind of get familiar with Procreate and understand that everything's done by layers, and I have some other training on that. So maybe a step too much. If it is, you may want to pause this video. But if not, if you are on board and you know what layers are and you're good to go and all excited, let's go ahead and do this. What I did was I call it the little S2 tool up here, and I'm going to highlight the background area, and it does not have to be perfect because we're going to do the grass on a different layer. And I'm going to make the sky blue. So I'm going to do that for now. Above that, I'm going to create a new layer. And what I'm going to do is outline this surface back here, the grass. And this is the most distant grass from us, as you can tell. Just by the little bit that we have added. You can tell that that's way back there. Because in the first video, I was showing you, line weight and how to, anything further back, make the lines a little less thick. So that's what I'm doing. This grass in the background now, I'm going to make kind of light. So we're going to go with this. And I'm going to keep it on the same layer. And again, I'm going to go through and marquee, highlight all this, the grass that's closest to us here. And this is going to be a different color, obviously. But yeah, we are going to make this grass a little bit more bold. So I have the lighter grass in the background. Then we have some more bold, greener grass here. And you can see in the palette area kind of where I'm grabbing these colors from. And again, I'm filling it in just by grabbing the color and moving it in here. It's kind of Procreate, that's pretty simple to do and pretty, you'll know how to do that if you played around Procreate, you know how to do that. So I'm not doing anything new in regards to filling, basically. I am going to create a new layer now, and I have these trees in the background, and these are the ones I'm going to start with first. I'm actually going to mix them up a little bit. I'm going to have some red trees and I'm going to have green. And with this, I'm going to use my ink. I'm going to inking technical pen. So I'm going to turn the brush size up to about 100 for this. And that will vary depending on your canvas size. Just to let you know, the canvas size I'm using right now, canvas information. Right now I'm using the screen size basically. And the 132 dpi, you can read all this. You need to pause the screen and check that out, you can. But that's where I'm at with this one. So just a little FYI. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and color in these trees back here. I could fill them. I could do the fill technique, but they're kind of small. So I thought this may be a little bit easier just to go in and do it this way. The next one I'm going to make kind of a yellowish tree. Not too bright yellow, but kind of something muted. It's got like a hint of green in it even. You can make these any way you want, but this is the way I like to do it. So let's see. I'm going to add a green tree now. I will have green back here. Why not? So I guess what I'm getting at with like this one is this is kind of going to be like a fall scene, something like that. Okay, so we got that one, and let's do kind of a brownish tree now. And again, I'm just going in, coloring them like so. There's one right here. Let's make the same color. Okay, cool. So we have that. On the same layer, I'm going to actually add the trunks, which are just going to be kind of brown. I'm not going to get detailed at all with these. I'm basically kind of going over the black, and I'll show you. You'll find out why. You'll find out the method behind the madness pretty soon here, once I have this done. And this is something where I could have actually put that the black trunks that I'm tracing over on a different layer. That would have been a possibility too, but I didn't do that, so this is going to be a little bit different, which is fine. It all works. I'm going to go to a new layer now, and I'm going to go across the lines in this, the trees that aren't the closest to, but aren't the furthest back either, kind of these middle trees. And I'm going to make this kind of greenish. Why not? They're trees, you can pick any color you want, really, and it'll be okay. They don't have to be that specific, really. Let's go with a kind of a tan tree for this bad boy right here. Boy, every time I make trees, I always say it, like I feel like Bob Ross. I got to come up with some catchphrases to like happy little trees or pleasant little village or it's got to be something cool I can start saying. All right, I'm going to create a new layer now and go to these other trees here. And we'll make this one, let's do kind of a light green for that. Why not? And, I have this tree like back here. I kind of forgot about it actually. So we'll put him on the same layer. It's okay. It will work out just fine putting him right there. And I'll make it kind of a yellowish tree. Perfect. Okay, so we have those covered. Now, the trunks for these, I'm actually going to do on a different layer, just because I don't want it to interfere with the coloring. So I'm going to go in, and the black lines on these trees are not going to be affected, and you'll see again what I mean soon. So, yeah, so what I'm getting at is it's all good to, color them and not worry about tracing over the black or anything specifically. If that makes sense. I don't want to give it away, but what I'm going to be doing very soon is very magical. Okay, it's not really, but I'd like to think it is. Because we're going to make the trees in the far, far distance very, very, I'll say transparent, but they're not, because they're going to give the illusion of depth, like we're talking about today. So they're not going to be transparent, but we are going to use a transparent tool for them, which I will show you. I have not gotten there yet. So that's why I keep talking about like the differences between like the trunks that is colored compared to the ones in the back. Okay, so moving on. There's a lot. I sometimes feel like I fly through these tutorials, but I promise you and everyone that if you get on Procreate on an iPad Pro and practice just for a day, a week, you will understand all of this and it will really come quickly to you. And I also say this too, if you're not on an iPad Pro and let's say you like traditional painting, the way the colors look in here and everything actually have the same effect. So you technically don't even need to be using an iPad Pro like me, but I am. And as you can see, what I'm doing now is going through and coloring the trees that are closest to us. I'm just filling them with vibrant, not that vibrant, but beautiful autumn colors. Call it that. Let's see here. This one I'm going to make actually red. Cool. And I'm going to fill in a few of the blanks. Nothing too crazy, but okay. Awesome. Now I'm going to do another layer here, and this is going to be for the trunk of these trees. So we're going to do this one first. And I know I'm like moving the illustration all over the place on the video, but that's what I love about the software. I can zoom in on it. So as I'm coloring this, like I'm moving it all around and making sure I have a good vantage point on it to do this. So I zoom in a lot and I adjust the screen a lot. It's kind of like, when you're drawing on regular paper and you move the paper around. I mean, it's got that same effect on here. So I know it can maybe be a little bit annoying watching it, but you'll also, I think you understand why I do that too. Because for me, I treat this just like paper. I really do. As much as I can. And it is. It's a digital paper. It's not it's not real, but I've gotten, to me it's got the same effect as using paper, except better, because if you slip up, you can go right in and erase it with no problems. Makes it really simple to use and easy, and yeah, I can go on and on. I should be a Procreate spokesperson. I really should. So I've seen some illustrators that can use Procreate a lot better than I can, so probably not the best person for it. But for your basic coloring, though, for comics and cartoons, I feel like I know what I'm doing, and hopefully these help. So you can see I just colored in the path to, it's on the same layer as the trunks, which is totally fine. All right, so now is when we really start adding some depth. As you can see, we have all our main colors up here. So I'm going to go back down to my layer 3, which is the sky, and I'm going to create a layer above that. And this is going to be the horizon and the sky. What I like to do, unless you have like a night scene or something like that, like I really love like sunsets and sunrises, things like that. And so I usually go for a yellow color, and I'll go to the painting in the brush library, and go down to the water brush. I think the water brush has a really cool effect to it. I usually keep the opacity around 50%, 45% is what's on now, it's fine. And check this out. So right now I'm coloring in the far distant background yellow. You can see it appearing on your screen. The yellow is forming in the background, okay? Next up, I'm going to take that same blue color I have for the sky and darken it a little bit. Here's where I'm going to add some clouds. You got to make that sound when you're really in the moment of creating things. I know I annoy myself with that sometimes. I'll find myself making these little noises, and I don't know why I do it. Once you have like those darkened clouds, what you do is you go back to yellow, and you can kind of tap around the bottom of them, and check that out. It gives you like it really brightens them up, and it looks like a sky. And with that muted look from the water brush, that gives it some depth too. Like it looks like the clouds are way back there. You know what I mean? All right, so next up we're going to create a layer above layer 4, which is the grass layer back here. And what I'm going to do is go in and highlight the black area. And again, nothing has to be perfect with these. If you look at my comics, I have many imperfections, and you know I love them. I go back in. I think it makes it unique. Like if you go to a museum sometime and check out like original cartoon art, the best part of looking at them are the imperfections. I think it really just makes them awesome. Anyway, back to coloring. So I highlighted the far grass back there. What I like to use for that is the round brush. I keep the opacity again around 50%. And brush size is going to vary depending on your screen size, but with this, I start at the bottom, kind of darken it up, and then I leave it lighter on the top. You see? And what that does is it adds some depth too, because it makes it look hilly, like the sun is hitting the very top part. I'll then lighten it up the top area, and you can see I have that lightened up. And there you go. You have like kind of a hilly look, and you can see the depth added in there. Now the next thing, do the same with the grass in front. Now this will vary, you know, depending on your light source, and there's other things to factor in, and that's all Art 101 coloring, which I do try to get to as much as I can in these videos, like in different areas, but know a little bit about art technique and keep in mind of where your light source is coming from, because if you don't have light in the background like I have, this will look a little awkward if you color it this way. Get it? So anyway, that being said, what I'm going to do is darken up some areas down in here. I'm actually going to take my pen up a bit. And again, I'm still using that round brush. I like to darken them a little bit more so along the path, just to give that some depth, kind of like there's a little slope there. Then we have some darkness back here, here. And you can be very loose with this. You know, it doesn't have to be a perfect pattern or anything. You can see I'm less, because grass is not perfect. It's always, you know, different sizes and shapes. And there's, if you're on a hill especially, you have different depth to all that, you know. So as you see, I'm adding some real dark areas behind the tree there. I think that makes it pop out a little bit. And give it some variety. It's like that. And in the same essence, take the lighter green and go over some highlights. And again, I'm going to kind of do it more toward the grass in the back here. That tapping sound is, again, me tapping on the iPad. But we're going to keep it a little bit darker in here. There you go. Already we have some depth going on with this image. Next up, we are going to do these trees in the background with this. I still like to use the round brush. And these I like to give a lot of variation to. I'll really lower this down quite a bit and make it kind of spotty. You know what I mean? Like it's a tree. Toward the bottom of the leaves there, I try to make that really dark. And then the rest of it, I'm really kind of spontaneous with. Try to be. Same then, I use some lighter areas toward the top. Something like that. Look kind of good. I'm going to actually darken that up a little bit more down here. Cool. I like it. I'm going to go with that. We're going to go to this tree now. And we're going to lighten this up. And we're going to go to this tree. And again, you can see what I'm doing. I'm really spontaneous with this. I have no think of leaves again. I mean, like the grass. Leaves are all over the place. They're never like in a pattern typically or anything like that. So you can be really loose and have some fun with it. You know, have a good time. After all, we all enjoy drawing. That's why we're here, right? So okay, I got those done. I'm going to go up to the next set of trees, which are these two. Here again. So using the round brush, take it down a notch, go to this, and if you remember correctly, we have our trunk on a different trunks, plural, on a different layer. So, you know, I'm not able to color over them or anything like that. I'm just adding some variety. I'm going to go up to a lighter color here. And we'll make it just a little bit lighter on top, just to really make it kind of pop. All right. Now onto the green one. Same thing. Again, I like to go a little bit darker toward the bottom of the tree because in nature, if you look at that, I mean, a lot of times it's that way. But again, that depends on your light source too. If you have a light coming up from the bottom, then you wouldn't want it to be dark. But in this case, I think it helps. And, you know, again, the whole purpose of this is to show you guys depth, and the variations of colors that I'm doing here, as you see it coming together, give it depth. You know what I mean? You have depth in the leaves, and all I'm doing is adding little pockets. Let's call them pockets. I like that name. Sporadically all over these trees, and it helps, and it makes a difference, and it makes it work. This one. And we are almost done with these trees here. I'm going to add some lighter colors to it. Cool. Now we have these branches. I'm going to add a layer of these. We're going to do these distant branches here. I'm going to add some variation of them a little bit. More darkness coming out of the leaves as if they're shaded a little bit, you know what I mean? And we can add some light to that too, more toward the top. Here again, kind of keep in mind the light source, exactly where it's coming from. And with this one too. I think with these videos, I'm going to try to, at some point, have it so you can actually see what I'm doing instead of just on the screen itself. I think that might help a little bit to kind of see, you know, what my hand is actually doing. Because I know you can't see it right now. The technology here at Cartooning Courses is being revved up significantly. Coming up in the next, you'll see. We have a lot going on here. I say we. It's a one-man show right now. But I have some really cool things coming out soon. And I've been saying that for a while, but this time it's actually being built as we speak. And I say that being recorded, being written. And I want to give you guys a lot of options on exactly what you want to do. You know, if you want to learn to draw, great. But some of you may know all this already. If you're watching this and you know it, maybe it's a refresher, or you just enjoy cartooning courses so much that this is just like an amazing thing to watch. I would love it. That's cool. Hey, if you just want to hang out for the show, I am all about it. I do that sometimes. I watch things like that I've seen a million times before. I already know, and I just enjoy being there. You know, hanging out. It's a good time. We try to make it a good time here. If I had any coffee or beer, I'd offer you one, but I don't know how to do that through the screen. It's a little tough. All right. And as I'm sitting here rambling my mouth off, you can see now I'm on the front trees closest to us here. And we are actually really close to wrapping this up. If you look at the little timer down below, you can see there's not that much to go here. Not that much. Again, I'm really being loose with it. You can enlarge and lower the size of your pen to help. All kinds of different techniques to use here with Procreate. And as long as you have the mixture of light and dark, it's kind of the, if you want one takeaway from all this, that's the key to adding depth to things. But I want to show you another technique on here too that's really cool that I was talking about earlier about taking away the ink lines for those back trees. We're about to do that soon. Just adding a few more shadows to the trunk. Nothing too crazy, just, I'm adding make it, give it some variation, Cool, I like that. We got this guy over here, and make it really kind of dark on this side. You can just tell, like, kind of where that shadow is, it's kind of really dark over there. And then up here, darkness over here, and lighten up on this side. I think that's good. And this path then, I'm going to make kind of, I'm going to raise that up, make this a little bit darker here, and lightened up as you go, and then at the very tail end over here, whoa, way too much. We're going to make that kind of really bright. And it went up. All right. And look at that, guys. You can see now we have some depth. Now, what I was going to show you was layer 2, which is our black ink. You see if I take it away, all the black ink disappears. I'm going to click it again. I'm going to go to the eraser and stay on that. Stay on that level. And I'm going to go through in the background here and erase the ink. Not level, layer. All right, you can see I'm taking away the ink from these back trees. And this one too. And this is the technique I think is really cool. You can leave the black ink if you wanted to. In fact, we're going to take it off this grass back here as well. Because that really, when you use solid black ink like I do, if you look at my comics, you'll see I pretty much always use solid black ink. But sometimes I do this. I'll take away some of the ink, especially in the far background area. All right, so we have the trees in the background. That added some depth already by taking away the ink. And now you'll see we have all these layers. We have all these background trees, like right here. Layer 13 is the shadows, and then layer 5 is the actual fill-in. I'm going to combine those two layers. And I am going to lower the opacity on those back trees to, we'll do it about 60%. And check that out. You have now, it really looks like those are really faint and far back there. You see what I mean? And I think that's a really cool effect. You can keep that in mind. If you lower the opacity on a certain background, you'll get that effect. It almost looks like it's hazy back there, like you actually see in nature. So that's really it. I could really go into this further in more detail, but look at the time we spent. It wasn't that long to get a pretty decent picture of a nice background that you could definitely use for a comic, use for an illustration, use for whatever it is you're doing. And you can take this you can use this technique with painting, with using markers, anything that you're using, if it's not Procreate even, keep that in mind. So like you'd want to faintly draw the trees in the background if you're drawing by hand. If you're using paint, water it down, make it light, faint. Big takeaway again, use colors, mix them up from light and darks. Remember, think of your light source, where the light is coming in at. In this one, you have like a sunrise or something, basically kind of in the middle, so that's why everything toward the edge is really light, and as you get back, it's a little bit darker. But anyways, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this. This is kind of a quick tutorial technique of depth and coloring and Procreate and the whole shebang. But I use it every day when I'm cartooning, and I think it's helpful. And I definitely wanted to shed some light on it. Is that a pun? Shed some light on it when we're sitting here talking about light. Get it? Get it? Get it? Okay, that's a horrible pun. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for a lot more. But that being said, I will talk to you soon. Bye.